Greetings viewers, welcome back. Today's video we're going to be tearing into the EJ205 out of the Bug-Eye Resurrection project. We're going to be removing the timing belt and components, the water pump. We're going to be removing the cam crank seals, the oil pump, the oil pan, the oil cooler, rear main seal, oil air separator plate, and piston pin access cover. This will just basically be timing belt service and engine reseal for all the oil leaks. Doing some looking around on this engine, on the back side I did find a marker tag. I believe this is a junkyard engine, that or the heads have been machined. Some machine shops use these little tags on their cylinder heads. It's a warranty tag that's void if removed, but most of the time I see those from like LKQ and other auto part recyclers. So most likely this is a salvage yard engine. We also have some damage to the turbocharger components and things of that nature. We'll get into that probably in another video, checking the turbo, checking the gaskets. He was complaining about issues with it not building boost, so we're going to check the wastegate and check the vacuum lines, all that good stuff. The majority of that we'll have to wait till we get back in the car to do like boost leak testing. And there is some broken bolts on this vehicle, so I'm going to try to do a video on extracting broken fasteners. We have one stud between the up pipe and the turbo flange that's broke off, so I'm going to try to extract that and make a video on that, which is kind of hard to make a video on extracting bolts because no two extractions go the same. Sometimes you can just drill one with the left-handed drill bit and it popped right out. Sometimes you basically have to destroy everything to get it out, and it's a multiple day affair. Just depends on which way the sun shines. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and start dismantling the timing components. I've already got, as you can see, the crank pulley off. I've got the timing covers off, and I have got the timing marks aligned, so we are good to start removing components. All right, so like most Subaru timing belts, we will remove the smooth idler down and the right side of the engine. This is normally the first one you remove when removing the timing belt, and the last one you install when installing the timing belt. People ask me a lot in the comments why I do not use the cam holding tool. Just never really found a need for it. If you're extra cautious, you don't have to worry about your cams jumping on you. So I suspect this kit has been on here for quite a while. A lot of these bearings are showing signs of wear. The belt's showing pretty good signs of wear. Let's take a listen at this. There's a lot of play in this bearing actually. See if we can pick it up on the microphone here. Yeah, that one was getting real loose, probably getting ready to let go. So from there, we will go ahead and take some slack out here, and we'll remove the cog pulley. Normally when anything breaks in the timing, it's normally this cog pulley here. More times than not, when I see a timing failure, it's this cog pulley having gone too long and all the ball bearings coming out of it. And it's got a lot of noise to it too. So we probably caught this at the right time. I don't know how much longer this guy would have gotten out of this timing set at this rate. Everything looks pretty worn. So let's go ahead and just try to work our belt off gently. You don't have to worry on this side. As mentioned in many videos before, this side, your cams are not under valve spring tension, and you can just move them by hand any way you need to. We're stuck right here. On the turbo models, you have these extra guide plates to help the timing belt stay on track. These plates in the corners use 5mm hex fasteners. Just loosen them up, pull the guide forward, and there's little slots where you can just pull it up. You don't have to take the fasteners all the way out. unless you need to for clearance. I'll lift the belt off here. Again, you see I can move this cam quite a bit, about 90, about 120 degrees free movement without having any kind of resistance to it. We've got all this freed up. Again, being careful, we don't want this belt to jump on us. And if it does, we can always just put it back in time. It's not the end of the world. I remember the first time I did my diamond belt job, not just on a Subaru, but on a interference engine. I was sweating bullets because I was so afraid of anything moving and hurting the engine. But with time and experience, you kind of get over that. Here, looking at our hydraulic tensioner, there's a lot of fluid leaking around the main piston here, so that probably was getting weak. Our tensioner pulley is still fairly quiet, so that seems to be pretty okay. Not that we'd reuse it. We have a new one in our Ace and timing kit. So let's go ahead and knock these two 10mm bolts off, and that will remove the time belt crank guide. These are only found on manual transmission cars, and they are here to prevent the timing from jumping in the event of you stalling out the engine. So pop that off, set it aside. And carefully pull our belt off. And our belt does have lots of wear. It's got a nice glaze on it. When we turn it around, there is some separation in the layers of the belt. This belt was past its prime. There's no writing to be seen anywhere on the belt. That's a good indication there if you ever want to check your timing belt. You pull off the timing cover over here on the left-hand side of the engine, because it's pretty accessible. On the single overhead cam, it's 3 10mm bolts, and it pulls off after you move the coolant reservoir. On the turbo cars and dual overhead cams, it's 4 10mm bolts, but you can eyeball your belt there. The belts are designed, well, let's say the OE belts, not sure on the aftermarket belts, they're designed that they're white cam and crank markings, and the Subaru text and everything is designed to last between about 75,000 to 80,000 miles, and the service interval on these timing belts is about 85,000 to 95,000 miles, give or take, just depending on your preference. I'd always rather change it a little early than a little late to be on the safe side, because why do you want to risk several $1,000s of engine for what equates to $50 timing belt, $100 timing belt maybe? I mean, the whole kit's like between $230 and $280, depending on if you've got a single overhead cam or a turbo. So why take the risk? Why take the gamble? It's not that hard to do. Replace it. So got that out of our way. Our little sprocket up here. You can hear there's a lot of, I don't even have to get that up to the mic. A lot of noise in that bearing. Woo. That one I think is the worst one. Sounds like a box of rocks. So, let's get all this stuff out of the way. All fasteners are 14 mil until we get to the little idler, and this little idler is only found on the turbo dual overhead cam cars. That one is a 12 mil. So on this car, we do have leaking cam seals, and I don't think the crank seal is leaking yet, but for the cost and while we're in here, we're replacing it anyway, because we want this engine to be nice and sealed up and not leaking at all for the customer. So let's go ahead and see if we can pull cam gear, crank gear off, and we can't. It's stuck on there pretty good, so it might spray it down with some penetrating oil and let it soak overnight. I'm filming this video at, I think it's about 7 o'clock now, after hours. Shop's closed down, so I like to film later because it's nice and quiet in the shop and not a lot of distraction. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pull these cam gears off so we can get a look at our cam seals. Got our Company 23 cam holding tool for the WRX and 10mm hex socket for the cam bolts. These cam bolts can be in here really tight, and the fact that they're 10mm hex, I have seen them round out more times than I would like to. If you don't have these special extraction sockets like I've got, these are the new Mac Tool RBRT. They are an extraction hex designed to keep these hexes from rounding, which they're pretty good about doing under high torque loads. An old trick that I've seen some people do is, if you just have a regular 10mm hex, is to take some valve lapping compound and put on the end of your hex bit before you insert it in the bolt. That'll help your hex bit have a little more grit and grab to grab the inside of that fastener and help prevent it from rounding out. So we'll go ahead and pull our cam gear straight off of here now. And we do have some leakage and moisture, a little bit of oil film behind this intake cam pulley, which is why we're in here replacing these seals. So got that one out of the way. Let's go ahead and remove the exhaust cam pulley. Man, they put these things in here tight. Which is a good thing, because you don't want your cam pulleys to fall off. I believe someone had this one off without the proper tool at some point, because there are some broken chunks in the outside of this pulley that are, they were just swinging a hammer around in the engine bay and cracked it. Hard to tell. So, time mark is still aligned, although that doesn't matter. We can always put it back in time once we get the cam pulleys back on. A little wet under here. Not quite as bad as the intake cam, but definitely had some leakage going on. There's something on the ends of these cams. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe some kind of lube. Looks like maybe some dried old white lithium. Interesting. Alright, on to the intake cam gear on the right hand side. Nice and dry under this cam gear, so we weren't having any leaks here. Wow, this cam seal wasn't even in here. Somehow, luckily, it was not really leaking. Well, yeah, it was. What am I talking about? It's leaking on the bottom here, it's dry on the top, but that thing is super kicked out. So, this is crazy. This is the right side exhaust cam seal. Look how far this thing is hanging out. It's no wonder it was leaking. I'm shocked that it wasn't just pouring oil. It's just barely in the groove up here at the top. I could probably pull this out by hand. You don't see too much of this crazy stuff with naturally aspirated cars. When you start looking at the the turbo cars, the WRXs and Legacy GTs and stuff, yeah, look how easy I just popped that cam seal out. I just put my screwdriver in the side of it and pulled it right off of there. So hopefully that cam seal being crooked like that did not wear a groove in this camshaft. Yeah, you can see where the oil is just coming out the bottom there. And you can see the bottom of this seal is covered in oil where it was just crookedly placed in there. Looks like we might have a small little groove here cutting this camshaft, but installing the new seal, it should be sitting back far enough to seal and we won't have to worry about that. But wild. The other three seals are basically in there correctly, just that one was wildly off and hanging out.